everyone. To say that I am not affected by everyone that has spoken today would be an understatement. To say I don't feel emotionally on edge, also. We're all here connected by trauma, unfortunate as that is. We're all connected by trauma. And I don't think that there's anyone in any part of the world that would fully be able to relate to each person who has experienced this unless, unfortunately, they've gone through it themselves. Right? I have watched men and women, mums, grandfathers, possibly dads, speak about their feelings and their experiences and what they are troubled by and what worries they have for the future, for this current generation and the next. I've watched men. Alan, 66, with tears in his eyes. Joe, with tears in his eyes. Yeah, strong men. And I know they're strong. Like Billy, like me, like the ladies here. Strong, because we're here, we're doing this. But to see that this is what it does to persons decades on. Yeah? Decades on. Children. They were children. You've heard on these statements when they were children. They are now fully grown adults and mature at that by age. And they are still affected to this very day. And I tell you why. Because we have, in this so-called setting called Great Britain, the most heinous network I have discovered. I knew of this donkeys years ago. I just didn't believe it was really true. We know the stories, we hear, it's through the grapevine, we get told information. Unless you actually see it with your own eyes, feel it with your own fear, yeah, and sensory, you haven't got it right in front of you. So we take things on board but not really ultimately affected, and this is the point I'm putting out now to society. You're not truly therefore affected. You won't be affected unless it's happening to you, unfortunately, if it ever does, or to one of your loving members of your families. Why should this be why should this be their destiny? Why should it be that they are so greatly affected still, some just under 6 decades on? Yeah, because you were 6 at the time, wasn't you, Alan? Yeah, this is 6 decades on, still affected to this day, and you don't even have a single sodding official who really truly wants to come out and actually speak with an individual who is a survivor. I was using the term victims earlier, and I'm glad I'm corrected for now referring to those persons as survivors, because that's what you all truly are, survivors of a traumatic experience that no one will truly fully understand, and we hope they never do have to, other than to hear what you each have said and what I will say on this point. There's a lot. I'm being honest with you. I'm fried. I don't normally get stumped. I talk straight from the cuff, from here and the cuff. I tell people what's on my mind. But I am fried, very, very much so, more now, and today has added to that. So if you may indulge me, just to bear with me. There's a lot of things I will try to cover that are relevant, but to say that I am not feeling like I have half of my brain at the moment being pulled out by someone's grip so tightly whilst the other half is trying to remain is therefore another understatement. I'm going to come to a few things, but I've actually met Stephanie Barnard, yeah, and she's a long way at the moment. She's probably about over 200 miles from where we are, and be it that I also hail from an Irish, Scottish background, I feel compelled to support my fellow Irishmen, women, children, and the same with Scotland. This is Reefs, and unfortunately for the Bonner family, they have gone through one hellish experience. And as if it ain't enough to go through that experience of the grieving of a loved one and not ever getting to see your son or your brother, your cousin, your nephew ever again, only that family fully, truly understands what's happening to them as a family. But they're a very strong family as well, I might add, from what I've seen. To be basically victims of this, and to then be victims on top by the failing of so-called services. Let's get on to Police Scotland. I know I've had the misfortune of handling interactions with Police Scotland on and off over a consistent period of the best part of now 8.5 years, just short of 9. I thought they were the most integral, most honourable, upstanding members of our actual community and that of the structure to protect. They all come out believing that they're doing the God's work and that they're doing good. But they are failing miserably. They are failing. They failed not just this family, they're failing thousands of families a year, including my own. To turn our attention on this, when you have these so-called services and you're expected as especially mature people, adults especially, to rely on these so-called services and to recognise if you have a problem, to bring it to their attention. That's what you're expected to do within our civil parameter, what's right. We see that it's not truly in our interests, after all, to rely on them. And this is why we're all here. You're all testament of this failing of this so-called system that's supposed to be set up to do right over wrong. They're failing us all. The police, the MPs, the churches, they're failing us all because they set this high image that they cannot even live up to. And you know why? Because they are allowing one another to run the risk of being corrupted by it. They're running the risk of corrupting one another. And unless you do as officials what you expect us to do, and that is toe the line of civil compliance and order, it's never going to work. They're letting us down. These so-called systems and services are letting us down, hence why we're all here and travelled a long distance from various parts of the country. So I add on to quite a lot of things because I hear so much. I may have had a view of what I was going to say today, but I would be wrong just to stick to my own, call it my own outlook or agenda. The children, especially of this country and its British Commonwealth, are being grossly let down. And I tell you what, in all the time I have spent damaging myself whilst being damaged by these very officials, this system, for what they're doing through my children, through my former partner, the damage to her, how they pushed me, put that on her as well, damaging a whole family, 6 people, yeah? I have seen what they've done to families across Scotland, across Wales, Ireland and England, and also from people that have networked with me from other parts of the British Commonwealth. To say I'm not near enough shaking at the moment, and I don't normally shake, I'm shaking. And I don't know why, because I haven't got fear, yeah? They've taken the fear out of me because they proved to me after 8.5 years there's no justice. They have an arena that they call the family court. Myself and Alan and Billy, we were actually all witnesses to one another just over 3 Thursdays ago in Holborn at the so-called family court. This is a so-called judicial setting under the British banner of law. I'm going to ask every single sodding so-called judge this question. Why are you residing on an actual bench behind closed doors? If we have a right to a fair hearing and a fair trial under the British Commonwealth flag, then why are we seeing this behind closed doors? Why is this not within the same parameter of judicial process for criminal law, where it is deemed to be more just, more fair? I'll tell you why. Because they're all complicit, yeah, as so-called judges, so-called justices sitting on a bench. You're all complicit with crimes against humanity, and you bloody know it. You are basically facilitators of the biggest trafficking network of children and exploitation that I have had the unfortunate, bloody, heinous experience of seeing and feeling myself. I see police around us. I work with these people over a long period of time, as Joe has. They don't stand for justice anymore.
I come in with you.
Come on, Joe.
Yeah. Me and Bobby were raped and abused as children. I joined RUC Special Branch. That's who me and Bobby are. That's why I got my berry on, medals on. When them fuckers look at me, they don't recognise the Barry. But whenever they recognise the Barry, they shit themselves because they're like, oh shit. Yeah. I was raped and abused as a child, and I joined one of the best regiments in the world. Yeah. I'm proud to have done that. When I look at these dickheads, what we've got police force today, I'm fucking ashamed. Sorry about the swearing. Sorry about the swearing. But I know when we were doing our shit in Northern Ireland, yeah, we done it to the best of our ability. We never judged. We had to judge terrorists with this. Yeah, our job to do, and we done it. But when I look at the police force today, yeah, that's a different kind of police force that we've ever had to deal with.
They're not a service, Joe.
They're not a service. They're not a service to the country. At least I can put my medals on. Sorry for saying this. I don't mean it that way. Yeah? But I know that when I got these, I done it to the best of my ability. When I look at these, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, yeah, I aren't mine. And I'm glad I aren't mine, because I can turn around to these fuckers today and go, you don't deserve to wear a fucking police uniform. And they don't. And they hit whenever we turn up, any time what we do, as soon as me and Bobby turn up, as soon as they're booted, look at us and go like that, oh shit. Because I know they can't say fuck off. Because these are constables. Yeah. We aren't. Yeah. We're special branch RUC officers. Yeah. They can't even touch us. That's why they ignore us. Because they can't come near us. I'm not saying that to Bobby O'Shea. But see these fucking police officers, London, anywhere we go on a demo, yeah, to stay away from us. Because we're like out there. We're not going to cause trouble, because we need to get the word out there about the rape and abuse of children. But when I look at them bastards, I'm like that there. Yeah? And I say that half-heartedly, because I know that we have got a lot of good coppers in this country. and we got a lot of ourselves.
Well, no, I'm gonna
You know what I
disagree
mean?
because at the end of the day, if you're willing, just as a justice of the peace, to be networking with other agencies and their officials and doing what you bloody do that goes against everything that we all stand for, then you don't stand for fuck all.
I get what you're saying. I respect what you're saying. Yeah. Whenever we were in Nottingham, remember Nottingham?
I can't forget.
They were all like out there with their buttons on their.
Yeah, one trying to pull me in by my regiment shirt.
Yeah, I walked up, I had my berry on, and I went, fucking really, you want to go against your brothers? Chief Inspector was right in front of me. I turned round to him, and I'm like, out there, why do you raising your buttons against your brothers? We taught you in rat control. We know about rat control. We walked right fucking through the whole lot of you. Yeah. Guess what? We fucking did.
We did. They opened up, they had no choice.
There's no choice.
But then they decided to actually draw batons down a very close section, yeah? And like they had to be reminded, you got bloody hands for a reason, yeah? You're talking about unarmed civilians, you're talking about ex-servicemen, yeah? Yeah, that had discipline, something they yet to bloody realise themselves. They think they've got discipline, the most undisciplined bloody network I know of now.
In my life, I turned round. Yes, I was raped and abused as a child. So was many. All of us were. Yeah. And we all support each other. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. But in the veteran community, there are a lot of boys that were raped and abused, and girls, and joined the British Armed Forces because they wanted to make a better life for themselves, because they knew the shit they had to deal with. And they joined the British Armed Forces. Yeah? And they've done amazing. I have veterans ringing me every other night. Yeah. This is what I'm telling you. Geez, I just turned my phone off. Yeah.
Operation Hornets.
Because I got veteran, I was raped, I was abused. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I get it. That's why I joined the British Armed Forces. Right? So we've got to understand this. Yeah. But what people don't want, that's why I'm done like I am today. I'm calling out to the armed forces. Right? Your brothers and sisters who were raped and abused. Yeah. Stand there with them. Yeah. I slag, because I can, the British Armed Forces off the fuck. Sorry about the language. But I can do that because the British Armed Forces. Yeah. Why are you not there protecting your children, your grandchildren, everything from rape and abuse? When you look at online grooming, yeah, we get all the paedophile hunters out there who I support 110%. Then there's not a better fucking job than them fuckers over there. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm like that. I support all of it. Yeah. Always will. Any paedophile that ever gets caught, whether you're black, white, whatever. See, whenever I put on Facebook a Pakistani Muslim man, it's talk off Facebook. But I can turn around and go, white man, yeah, they can all go on. Yeah. As soon as I fucking put Pakistani Muslim on, bang, I get shut down.
Nonce is a nonce.
Yeah. I've already turned around and said it today while we were here. Yeah. Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, biggest paedophile ring in the world. That's my religion, Catholic. Yeah. I took them the we won. I never thought we'd win. What we did. So I exposed my religion for my abuse. Yeah. But Pakistani Muslim, you're racist. Why the fuck am I racist? When I took my own fucking religion to court for raping and abusing us as kids. But like I say, Since you mentioned the word Pakistani Muslim, straight away you're racist. That's wrong. It shouldn't be. I don't give a fuck what religion you are. Anybody. If you rape and abuse children, I'll expose you. That's the way it fucking should be. That's the way I will stick there. And I always will. That's in my heart.
You heard it there yourself, yeah? Joe elegantly stating again the obvious to us all. And this is the thing, we're all being let down by the so-called people that you're expected to vote for to, through re-election, take seat and do exactly what? Feed themselves, feed their own network, turn around and basically exploit from the working class, the lower class, their actual way of life, because they're on a different level to middle to upper class. So they'll take advantage, and through that, as you heard, use your pass. Like as you heard Shani said earlier on, she stated, do not authorise a social worker to enter into your life and obtain your private information, because of what they can encompass from it that will actually create a report that will discredit you as a parent, to make it easier for them to then use the next level of leverage on you. Either sign a section 20, authorising them to take responsibility for your children, or defy it and they'll go to a so-called court and get a court order. Yeah? So that is what we were saying earlier about these so-called people sitting on the bench who call themselves judges, who we know are just facilitators of the biggest network of trafficking. And why? People will say, you're talking crap. No, I'm not talking crap. I'll tell you why. Because it's money. Because at the end of the day, like when you go to a criminal process or for a road traffic offence, most of the time, 8 times out of 10, they will fine people. Fine. It's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Pound notes all day long. They value money over life. And if you don't believe me, and you don't believe that statement, then where have you been living? Under bedrock? Because that is the truth. It's all about the money. This is why they are continuing it. Because they are making money through their actual judgments for the court. And in order to be able to continue sitting on that bench and doing and getting from it what they do, they've got to keep the system working. It's the same with the actual fostering agencies and the adoption agencies. Yeah, booming. New ones opening up. But do the research. Jane does a lot of digging. You'll find the crossing the paths of these actual departments through the same very officials. They are crossing into different departments, working in coalition. Now let's get a little bit more deeper, all right? Let's look at suicide, all right? I've had to write these because, being honest, I don't normally do anything from paper these days, but after today, with everything that's going on and a reminder of everyone's experiences, I am truly feeling head-fucked, pardon the French, by this so-called democratic state. If you are a judge, yeah, be one. Judge the people that are doing wrong, the very people that are doing wrong. Because I'll tell you something, the people's reports that come in before you in your so-called arena of what I believe is a corporate setting, an absolute corporate setting, a stitch-up, yeah, no justice in the so-called family court. You are allowing those reports to form your judgment and stop children from being with their families when there could be much more scope for working with those families and getting those families basically back on track from wherever it went. Excuse me if you pardon my expression. You're a so-called judge or judges, get yourselves in check, yes? Don't like being told well, you don't mind telling us. Well, it's time that society told you. It's time that you hear society tell you where you've gone wrong and how you've been facilitating this for far too many decades. I've only been learning in recent time. I'm 48. I've only been learning in recent time about how far back this goes. Been doing it for decades with your colleagues as so-called judges, justices of the peace. That's what you are leading us to believe you are. Well, maybe we need to start seeing the proof of your credentials before you sit before our cases, so that we know who you truly are, right? Because I don't buy into it. And like as I said on a video just recently to Judge McCartney of Dumbarton Sheriff Court, yeah, I spared you with dignity of asking you, are you on your oath as a judge? Are you going to be providing me with a confidence that you are going to uphold the law and not be in an arena of a corporate state? But I spared you of it because I believed that you was going to be righteous, do the right thing, objectively and impartially. You are facilitating the deaths of parents because you are relying on corrupted information being put before you, like they are being put in front of Kafkas, Tuzla, SCRA. For most people that don't know what SCRA is, it's a Scottish Children's Reporter Administration. What a bloody network that one is. And I know it because I'm mixed up with it. You are basically sending parents to such a state, along with elder siblings, that they cannot bear the pain. The pain is immense. And I stand here feeling that half of my brain's being basically pulled away and the other half is trying to survive and be here to do this when I don't even know how I do it today or yesterday or last year, and the same with other survivors of these traumas, yeah? Children, yeah, should not have to grow up finding out that they have not had the chance to really, truly have a relationship with the parents, grandparents, or even maybe one of their siblings. Because let's face it, guys and girls, no one can promise anyone tomorrow. You can't guarantee that you are going to be here tomorrow, all right? So what these people do today affects our tomorrow. When they do like what they've just done to my Marissa, yeah, who will basically be without the opportunity, because there's no setting for supposedly an appeal. There's no grounds for an appeal. A decision's been made. Wrap it up. All right.
Carry on, man.
Well done, Doctor. This is the problem, yeah? We're all out here trying to speak, and we're starved of oxygen to do it, yeah? Children are missing out on the chance to know their parents, and if they're very young, more so, they will not know who their parent is, because like Marissa, she now will have to spend another 9 years until what? Until she's 18, to maybe not even get to properly know her grandparents, her aunts, her cousins, me, her dad, her mum, because something could happen tomorrow, next week, next month to any one of us. We've got damaged children through a system, not necessarily because the parents are the heinous people and the persons that should not have kids. No. They look for these opportunities. They look for these opportunities to find you, yeah? And even if something happens that you don't even realise has happened, and it's out with your control, they'll still use it against you. They will fabricate, exaggerate, take out of context what you say. They will manufacture, they will basically copy and paste. We know, I know, I'm talking to you from here and from my conscience here. I know through experience what they're doing, yeah? You heard earlier on Shaney talk about domestics, Talk about where mums are encouraged to continue having their payments made to them because they don't work. There's no position for them really to work when they are mums and they're in this system, and they may have legal aid, and it makes it hard to have a full-time job, let alone a part-time one, when you're going through this system. They're encouraged to work against the parent. Yeah? And therefore they encourage a parent to work against the other parent. And if you don't comply, say a mum, they will work against you. So mums are being pitted. We have arguments, yeah, we have disputes. Does a dispute mean that you're a violent person? Does it mean I'm a violent person if I have a dispute with you or you or you? Should it have any difference if I stand my ground and tell you something just because you're a woman? Is it okay because you're a guy and do that, but if it's a woman I can't stand my ground if someone's in the wrong? They call it domestic, yeah? What kind of country are we in where we're letting these people basically dictate to us? This is why we're getting this out there to all you people that hear what we say, because you need to understand whether you like it or not, whether you want your brain filled with this or not. Unfortunately, if you're a good person and you believe in what's right over what's wrong, then this is your time to step up and do what's right with us. Because if you don't, you will pay the price one way or another. Whether you want to accept what I say now or not, it's going to come. We're all going to pay the price in one way or another. And the way that these systems work, it's not for you. That's why we're here, because we know that. And the people on the cameras need to realise that. It's for them, it's for the system, it benefits the system. They all work with one another, the departments crease in one another's departments, and in turn them with a payout. Yeah, a payment to a payout. Bonuses. They're putting kids on melatonin.
Those bonuses
left, right,
that they deny having.
Yeah.
But we know they have them.
We got the proof. We got it. Thank you. Thank you. I think it was Oldham County Council. Thank you, Oldham County Council, for being so bold. We got Indeed to thank for that as well. Kids on melatonin, yeah? Children that are going to have identity issues, put on medications, like us as adults, yeah? Tell you why. Because we are supplying their pockets again through pharmaceutical companies. It's a merry-go-round. That's why. It's an absolute merry-go-round. And we're standing for this as the great British public. Why? Why? We just had a memorial the other day for those who basically fought in the Battle of Britain, air supremacy. What did they bloody die for? What did any of our actual men and women die for? What? Just to turn around and see this country going to shit? Really? Has it got any better since the Second World War? No.
It's got worse.
It hasn't. So what do? Do we wait for something big to happen and then expect the actual cavalry to come in, British Armed Forces to come in and do something? No. And I'll tell you why no. Because they are not going to be coming in to save us. They're going to be brought in eventually to work against us. Right? They are operating the most darkest settings that humanity has to face. And do you know what? That's why I took about 200 people or less to the Masonic Circle, yeah, to Corrupt Central in Holborn on Thursday, because that's where it's all pinnacly set from, yeah, from there, the Masons. Everything is to do with the Masonic Circle, yeah, and I don't care. I'll take anyone on any day. And I'll tell you why, because I've got nothing more to lose. They've taken the fear out of me. 3 weeks ago, I get told that my daughter is going to basically be adopted, when we're inviting a sheriff to basically give her the chance to be a part of her whole family network's lives, but you allow her to be a part of a plastic setting instead, and you make a judgment in a favour for adoption, and we know why, because it's bloody systematic money, financial greed, that's why.
And you've got the other issue as well. If you've been abused as a child, they'll now use it in the family courts to say you can't have your
we've
kids
seen it
because they've done it.
generation to generation.
It's in my
Victims.
youngest daughter's judgment.
Yeah, victims. Survivors of being victims in the child system, yeah, the so-called social care system. And you become then a victim on top by having your children removed when you become a mum. Because it's easier for them to do it. So what's the fate now for the children when they're adults and their children? We've got to carry on, a conveyor, yeah, of the current and the past. This is what it is. It is a network, people. You don't trust me? Fine. Most people that know me know I'll tell you the truth. I'll square up to your eyes and I'll tell you the truth. I ain't going to lie. I'll put my hand up. If I really, truly am doing wrong, I'll put my hand up. All right? But I'll tell you the truth. This is a network. It comes from the top of the actual tower, the layer cake working its way down to the basement, and social services on our basement. And they are the facilitators of taking the children out of the family home, pushing them up the actual hill into all directions. Now I'll quickly try and wrap it up like I was asked to do. Babies, right? Why do you think babies are more productive? Because they're less affected by what's going on. So their brains haven't been affected by anything. They are therefore able to be like a remote control. You know, you can do what you want with remote controls, send it in all directions. That's what they do. They remotely bring that child up then, that baby, to be how they want that baby to be. Your baby, your baby, your baby, your grandchild, to be exactly what they want. Yeah? That's why. And you see the children that are obviously older, that are going up from toddler upwards. If those children are brought up by you with a very good upbringing, yeah, well disciplined, you know, very loving, very decent children, they are gold. They are gold. They are gold to the system, yeah, because they're easier to place with the so-called bloody plastic family, yeah. And if you're a foster carer, and if you're an adoptee or wanting to be, just listen to what we're saying. You are basically taking away children now for your benefit, Yeah, you do it for your benefit, not for their benefit, for yours. You don't even know the children. So how can it be for their benefit? It's for yours. And when those children in your home, like a 22-year-old that I had to read about today, yeah, who couldn't deal with the reality and how they were trying to get him out, 22, trying to get him out at the age of 19, right? Didn't want the fact that he was trying to find out who his biological family was, yeah, and he did succeed in some ways. Too much, he took his life. Unfortunately, he took his life, all right? So you foster carers, yeah, and you actual adoptee so-called parents are basically taking our children and putting our children in harm's way into the future. And you think we're the problem? You're the problem. You're the problem with the system, yeah? Because you're allowing yourselves to be brainwashed to believe that this is right, what's going on, by a system that's already proven to be corrupt. You are therefore responsible for manslaughter, because when these children take their lives, yeah, you have been a player in that. You've been a player in their effects on them, not just what's going on where they get taken away from their parents, yeah, and their siblings and their grandparents and their greater network of a family, yeah. You are behind basically their demise, yeah, because you're not helping those kids. You're actually going to damage them, and you are going to put them at risk of basically going one day and taking their lives. Yeah, I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for anyone's kids.
Sorry, mate. I'm just going to jump in, right? Because we've got to go in a minute. Yeah, we're on about sexual abuse and rape of children. I don't care whether it's HIA, which is historical child abuse, or what's going on today, up and down England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. The rape and abuse of children. No. is phenomenal. Yeah. It should happen. That's why we're all here today. We've got good advocates that come up today, tell the stories. We are the real truth tellers. We say it is and is. Yeah. The government will never tell you the truth. They've ripped us all off. Yeah. And like I said, me and Paul went, right, we're going back to Northern Ireland to do a documentary and expose the whole system for what it is. Yeah. We can do that. We're not under the gagging order no more. Yeah. Whenever we were going through our HIA, we were under a gagging order that if we mention any names, 2.5 years in prison. If we mention anything, 25,000 pound fine. We've done it now. Yeah. That's why Paul B. We're going back to Northern Ireland now to do a documentary and expose the whole system for what it is. We are not under a gagging order no more, so we can expose it for what it is. And we will. And we just won. Well, we did actually win the biggest inquiry in Europe. Yeah. 25 institutions. Yeah. Where children were raped and abused in. Yeah. Lord Hart, God bless him, I want to knock him. I'll set the documentary that we do. Yeah. He came out of retirement and he found the state of Northern Ireland guilty of a stomach and child abuse. Yeah. Me and Bobby already turned round to all the people over here in England. Our inquiry cost £19 million. Yeah. To have done. Yeah. There was a few mistakes. We're going to bring that to the court. But £100 million inquiry in England. Me and Bobby's already turned around and went, nah.
This is why we can't get one.
They're not going to fucking find England the way they did Ireland.
They're too close. They're too close. That's
Too
why.
many politicians.
Too close.
Too many police commissioners, too many lords. Yeah. And like I said, yeah, we're sitting here. What about Andrew? Paid a fine. Lord Jenny, paid a fine. Cyril Smith, paid a fine. Leon Britton, paid a fine. Yeah. That's why we're dealing with the elite. That's why we do what we do. Yeah. And I'll continue doing it. Thank you everybody. Please share it far and wide.